Hello, and welcome to Watching Worst Films, your guide to Razzie history. We are, of course, the podcast in which I, Jericho Reed, and my co host, Kyle Szymanski,
Hello, hello.
watch every Razzie Worst Picture winner. So this year, we are bringing you the first part of a double bill with one of the winners for 1986, Howard the Duck.
hmm
So, before we get into things, Kyle, what is your experience with Howard the Duck?
Very little. I have seen a bit of this film. I tried watching it
Okay.
about 15 years ago, and I turned it off. I will talk about, but this is different. That was then. This is now. I only know the infamy. I know the first 20 minutes. I know the poster so well. It's iconic to me. I could draw that blind. And I know the Lucas is involved. That's about it. This is about it for me. So what about yourself?
Nothing really. I was like kind of familiar. Like, I haven't seen the film. I was familiar with Howard the Duck as a Marvel character, like as a kind of punchline, a guy who's just hanging around in the background of things. And I knew this film had a reputation as an all time stinker.
hmm
And then, similar to you, I was aware that George Lucas was involved somehow.
Somehow, yeah.
So, going into this, I was prepared for something a lot worse because I kind of enjoyed this film.
You know what, Jericho? So did I. Um, I it's a strange one, and we'll go through it. I would never recommend this to anyone, ever.
No.
Um,
Mm-mm.
but in terms of expectations versus reality, I was
Yeah,
thoroughly impressed. But yeah, so it's both a thumbs up from both of us. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
exactly. It's kind of like thumbs up with the qualification of if you are doing a podcast wherein you've been watching a Razzie winner every week, and last week you watched the Hulk Hogan movie Santa with
hmm
Muscles, then and only then might you
hmm
get a real kick out of Howard the Duck. um, but on a budget of 30 to 37 million, would you like to hazard a guess as to how much this made?
Um, I'm gonna say made 30 to 37 million back.
You were
Oh,
so close. It made
ah,
38 million.
no. Ah. That's okay. That's okay. That's not. I mean, it's obviously a bust, but what were they expecting? Like real returns. Were they expecting this to be a franchise? I don't know.
Well, the first piece of trivia on IMDb, according to reports at the time of the movie's release, George Lucas had just built the 50 million Skywalker Ranch complex and was counting on this film to get him back in the black. When it bombed, he was forced to start selling off assets to stay afloat. His friend Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple Computers, offered to help by buying Lucasfilm's newly launched CGI animation division for a price well above market value. Lucas, in dire straits and thankful for the assistance, agreed. That division eventually became Pixar Animation Studios.
Oh, so Howard the Duck led to Pixar.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it all worked out well in the end, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
And it all comes
poetry.
back to the mouse. Star Wars, Pixar, eventually you're all going to be subsumed
Exactly.
by Marvel. You're all going to be
Well, that's it.
subsumed by the house
It's like
mice.
poetry. It rhymes. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So, yeah, not a great track record financially and of course critically mauled.
Mauled, yeah.
But we start off on the planet of the duck,
Yep.
where everyone's a duck.
Yep.
This is Howard's home planet. We just kind of see his regular duck life.
Yep.
And little detail which I liked: two moons.
Yes.
Howard's planet has two moons, and I was like, is this in the
Lucas.
Star Wars galaxy?
Well, it answered my own thought because I seen produced by George Lucas, and I was like, I kind of I'm hoping story, writing,
Yeah,
more credits, the more the merrier. And I was gutted because I was like, oh shit, did he just fund it? Is this like a Scorsese on the Joker sort of honorary title? Then I seen
yeah.
the two sons, and then I'm seeing little people in costumes, and I knew George Lucas is just right around the corner. So
Fingerprints all over
all
it.
over. So I love this opening. I don't remember this when I first seen it or first seen the open like the first 30 minutes or whatever. But I had a blast. Like they're cheap puns. They're all
Yeah,
the play on like real world. But it's fun and
Yeah,
tonally it sets me up for a fun, almost modern Marvel sort of thing. It's not. It's a complete fucking misdirection. The film is nothing like the opening 5 minutes, but it was nice. I was a bit of I don't know. I can see why James Gunn enjoyed Howard the Duck. I can see
yeah,
why. There's a lot of little things where he would pick up and run with it. But yeah, I love Duck World. It's short. I like how it's done through the credits. It's a really good way to ease you in to the horrifying state of what Howard looks like. So
yeah.
yeah, thumbs up for me.
So my notes here were a couple things regarding the credits. I have first Ferris Bueller pedophile. He is in
Mm-hmm.
this.
It sure is.
Mr. Rooney. Then Tim Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next note, this movie has it all. I don't know if that is my response to Andy Dufresne and a pedophile,
Yeah.
but like, what more could you ask for? But clearly, at some point in the early stages, I was enjoying this. My next note, noir. Oh dear, am I going to like this?
Yes.
Because it has a kind of like smoky, like kind of like noir trappings initially in
Mm-hmm.
Duck World, and then I saw his horrifying eyes, and that reassured me, like, okay, no, Jericho, you're not gonna become
It
a
is. I
Howard
mean,
the Duck
we
defender.
before we get into any further, though, we need to address the duck in the room,
Uh huh.
and that is how Howard looks,
Yeah.
because we just need to get out of the way. It is fucking horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I had Mandela affected it a bit in my brain and thought it was like more animatronic more often,
Yeah.
or less just little person in a costume with a duck head on, dead, vacant doll eyes. Yeah, he is horrifying. There's no way. I'm obsessed because I'm thinking, how did this make it? Like, how did like Lucas knows? You've got a good team behind him. He's got Industrial Light and Magic,
Well, if what
and
have I told you? Another little snippet from IMDb. Executive producer George Lucas spent $2 million on Howard's duck suit, and 8 different actors worked inside the costume.
wow,
According to the 2009 DVD release, a child actor was intended to be the main Howard, but didn't work out. Another actor, Ed Gale, ended up performing most of the major scenes as Howard, earning a credit at the start of the film. $2 million.
that is a joke.
It looks okay in some regards, but just like he's horrifying.
He's horrifying, and like you don't, like I'm thinking of it, and obviously special effects later on in the film I want to speak about. It's my background.
Yeah,
I like our two backgrounds. I do want to mention that for this because
yeah.
it's like two radically different films. It shows you the range.
Yeah, for the listeners, Kyle has a monster from the finale to the film, and I have the actual finale of the film, Howard the Duck, shredding on stage.
But anyway, I was thinking about it, and like, this isn't far. It's got Phil Tippett, obviously, the minute his
Yeah,
monster appears, and I got thinking about the thing and sort of how
yeah,
how could you do this so much better? So I'm almost answering the end of the podcast, but
yeah,
Howard, through a mix of puppetry, animatronics, and then a few live action for running movement, and then just spend time on the fucking head. Like, get the head looking
yeah.
natural with emotions. Like,
Even just
all
the
you
eyes, to be honest.
no, because he needs
Even
to.
just the eyes.
I don't know how you make a beak emote. Like, I think the
Mm,
beak's a big problem.
yeah.
The dead eyes do not help, but he never changes his expression, and that gives it such a threatening aura almost about him.
I think you get a good puppeteer. I think if you have expressionistic eyes, like eyes do a lot. Like look at Spider Man doesn't even have a mouth. I think you do sort of like head angles and
Yeah,
expressive
well,
eyes, and you
I'm
can get
thinking
away
of
with it.
I'm thinking of the fucking turtles, and
Yeah,
they're if you can make men in suits emote through their helmets and
yeah.
masks, you can do it for a duck. So just I don't know. Maybe it's because George Lucas he's not a man of many expressions. Maybe he just thought that's fine. If
We're
I don't need
again
to,
coming for autistic King George Lucas.
if I don't need to emote, my duck doesn't either. So yeah, it is horrifying. I do want to get out of here now because it didn't distract me the whole film. I got over it. I got used to him. I got Stockholm syndrome with Howard, but
Yeah, same. You kind of just like he just becomes normal,
if I was in this theater in 1986 and I'd only seen the poster,
and you
you
were
know,
6 years old.
yeah, if I was any age, I'd still be fucking terrified at seeing this thing. It's like proper garbage pail kids
Yeah.
vibes, and I really dislike it. But anyway, move on. I just wanted to bash on the eight actors who nearly suffocated to death. Probably well done, but terrible, terrible, terrible result.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah, the next note I have here is one of the puns. So there is a poster. Lucas goes to town. Indiana Drake, the new hero from the creators of Beaks and Foul Wars,
Terrible.
and it took me a good little while to think like Beaks, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's Jaws. Okay. And then the actual title of Indiana Drake's adventure is Breeders of the Lost Stork.
Which is awful,
Yeah.
awful, and like it's not. It's a stork. You know what I mean? Like do like something that's associated with like James Pond or like
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Dawn of the Bread or something. Anything. Like anything. Something with beaks in it. Just what do people think of ducks? They don't think of fucking storks. Um, this is
I don't think
late.
of breeding, you
No,
say? No one looks at a duck and thinks, I'm gonna fuck that duck.
I hate.
Well,
Well. Wait until Magalia Thompson arrives. But yes, continue, continue.
okay, so my next note is John Barry.
Yes.
Little thing for you. John Barry, the Bond composer,
Which
is
makes the James Pond pun with a Howard the Duck Bond and then put music by John Barry over it. Do a meta joke over it. So
yeah,
I get a double pun smile out of it, and
yeah,
we're in on the joke. Delighted to see John Barry here. I'll talk now about the music. So I love
yeah.
the soundtrack to this. I
Mm-hmm.
love the band Cherry Bomb, I think they're called, the band
Yeah,
within the film. But
yeah,
the songs are really good, and I actually looked up a few afterwards. So I was
yeah.
like, oh, that's a catchy song.
I'm
But
gonna buy this on vinyl.
I actually would. John Barry's score here is very Bondian at times as well. He does certain
Yeah,
little motifs and like themes where this is recyclable. I'll change a few notes and copyright free. No, I can't sue myself.
yeah,
But it's really fine and it's good. It's weird, but it's really fitting.
yeah.
Because I kind of expect this to have a Danny Elfman
Mm-hmm.
period kind of
Batman, epic
Batman,
kind of
yeah.
swooping, like, yeah.
And no, I really enjoyed it. So well done, John Barry. It's another job well done.
So, what if I told you that much of his soundtrack for the film went unused after producer Gloria Katz deemed it to be old fashioned and lacking in energy? Sylvester Levy was hired to rescore much of the film, including nearly the entire final third act.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't know why. Why
it
do
doesn't
you hire John Barry if you don't want something like old fashioned and kind of
because
like
that's what
elegant?
the Bond themes and motifs are is mostly songs or like synth stuff in here. So again,
Yeah,
and I know John Barry's anti electronic and like Duran Duran and all these clashes with them.
yeah,
And I was like, there's someone else here, but surely that's just the band or their other,
yeah,
and I don't know. It's one of the again, it links to me like with the thing. Why would you hire Ennio Morricone to do your ambient horror soundtrack?
yeah,
Maybe just do your, I don't know. I'd like to hear the full score though that he did, but I do
yeah.
imagine it would be lazy and not his best. But I still give him a pass. I really do like the score to this. I like the soundtrack. I like it all. So well done.
My next note: duck tits. Oh no, because this is obviously a notorious thing about Howard the Duck, and I did not expect it to be occurring within the opening 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's again like the noirness that you talked about helps. That
Yeah,
this isn't a kids film. This is for nobody.
yeah.
This isn't like a Fritz the Cat, but it's not a kids film at all. At least it does get out of
What's
the way.
what's James Gunn's cat from movie 43?
Oh yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Anyway, open yeah. Yeah.
Feeble. Anyway. Okay.
Listen to that episode.
Yeah. So the duck with breasts and nipples, extremely concerning.
Mhm.
Just like I don't know, it's just like it's fitting, I guess. This week on Twitter, there's been discourse around movie sex scenes as ever, and directors working their fetishes into the film, and that just seemed like some guy was really passionate about fucking a duck.
Mhm.
Um,
I did just assume though is I don't know the source material, but I assumed the source material was Fritz the Cat raunchier, sort of like
hmm.
Howard being a
Yeah.
hard
Okay.
boiled Swede. So I was like, like if you're gonna go for this sort of what they should have done with like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit sort of fish out of water story. I would have liked it to have the hard gritty, a reverse Barbie.
You want your
Yeah,
rated R
yeah.
Howard the
I want Barbie Land to be rated R, Howard the Duck Land, and then come into the cheerful world of Phil
Okay,
Tippett.
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't know the source material. I have no idea. I could be speaking out my ass here.
Yeah. So Howard then goes zooming through the sky on a chair or something.
Yeah,
He's
he just gets sucked
sucked
up.
into.
He's just like reading
Yeah,
a magazine or a book or someone watching TV, just chilling out.
yeah,
Light appears and he gets lifted on his chair, zoomed through space. It looks great.
yeah,
The space effects in general look fantastic. And it's so jarring seeing such a terrible, terrible outfit for your titular character, but seeing everything else look really good,
yeah,
very strange. But yeah, I also want to say how happy I was that it does fucking get going. It takes out,
yeah.
here's Duck World, here's our puns, let's get the fuck out.
Bang.
Bang,
Yeah,
out we go. Let's like just do it. Fantastic.
yeah. Because we then get the announcement in the beginning there was Howard the Duck. My next note, the way Howard runs is pretty funny.
It's
It's kind of
hilarious.
like when you see Gizmo running because he has like he sort of does the duck waddle.
Yes.
So
And there's many times like so he has what you call them? He's webbed feet
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
But like you can see every time he runs or moves, the real foot like lift on the I assume like plastic or whatever the fuck he's got on. So
yeah,
it's obviously hard to run in
yeah,
flippers essentially.
yeah,
But it is really funny, and it does make sense now that you're saying 8 people because the height changing between
yeah,
Howard goes from like 2 feet to like 4 feet, like at random times. And
yeah,
there was one of the actors, and now I'm piecing it together, did look like he couldn't run, and it wasn't like a I'm a duck kind of thing. It was just maybe a
yeah,
like physically calm. But
yeah,
yeah, I was laughing, but again, I don't think I'm laughing with the film. I'm laughing at it here. I did enjoy when Howard gets transported to the real world and he almost instantly gets the shit beaten out of him, and people react with horror and like absolute bewilderment. And I like that. I'm glad they didn't just roll with it like, oh, here's a thing. Like I've really enjoyed him just welcome to reality. I like the James Cameron punk aesthetic of like Terminator 1 that he's in as
yeah.
well. Yeah, again, I'm so on board at this point now.
Yeah, I'm just realizing how little my notes deal with the actual plot. So Howard the Duck gets transported to Earth, and this is when he ends up club, in the club,
Mhm.
and he sees Leah Thompson performing, doesn't he?
Yes, Leah Thompson's performing. He likes their music. He saves Leah Thompson from getting Terminator 1, and that's them now like buddies. It's strange. She I can't remember if we will get to the duck romance sex scene, but the
Yeah,
point here is she's like, I have a scientist friend. I think she's like the smartest man or something, the smartest man I know or something. It's
yeah,
Tim. It's Tim Robbins.
yeah.
You want to take us away? Tell us about Tim.
Well, Tim Robbins is some duck based scientist, and he's going to get Howard the Duck back home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially it. He takes him to some research facility. He does a Donald Duck impression,
Mm-hmm.
which is horrifying. The second most horrifying Donald Duck impersonation I've ever heard. um, and Rooney, that's where he meets Rooney, is they're speaking about this like experiment they're doing at like CERN of ducks,
Mm-hmm.
and Howard the Duck getting pulled to their dimension. That's kind of it. Like a
It's very
kind of
much
thankless task for
yeah,
Tim Robbins.
and it is. He's hammy as fuck. He's strange when we don't need a comic relief. When I have a walking anthropomorphic duck,
Exactly, yeah.
I don't need it. Like, and again, this is like the fundamental problem with the film is like its structure. There's so much fun stuff in this, and there's so much great stuff, but there's so much on like it's wafer thin in
Yeah,
reality, and nobody matters. Nothing really. It's just to get to A to B. But that's not the point.
yeah,
There's still good shit in there. Tim Robbins does have a thankless task. I am a Robbins fan, but I
yeah.
did not enjoy him in this film.
No, he doesn't need to be in it.
He's also yeah, and the hamminess is what like so like Leah Thompson. I have I and we'll get to this in the next episode with the winners, I assume, but she's
Yeah.
fantastic in this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The earnesty and like sincerity in a Howard the Duck film, like she's playing this is is the like Bob Zemeckis is directing her or something. Spielberg,
Yeah.
not Lucas, is behind the curtain.
Yeah. This is Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
This
not
is it.
Howard
This
the Duck.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like Robbins knows what he's in for. Jeffrey Jones
Yeah.
knows what he's in for. But like
Yeah.
God bless her for really trying to keep some like sincerity in this film. I don't know. I believed that she was talking to a duck. I didn't believe he was a duck, but I just want to praise her. I thought she was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I agree.
so yeah, well done, Leah. It was fantastic.
My next note is kind of what you're speaking about with like that sincerity. Howard the Duck has the line, "That's it, no more Mr. Nice Duck," and that was just an observation. If you don't really hear that as much anymore, we've kind of transcended "No more Mr. Nice Guy."
Hmm.
Like they used to hear it all the time in the
Yeah.
80s and 90s, whereas now it's been replaced by other things.
Hmm.
But Howard Duck has like, "Whoa, talk about an identity crisis," and that was my this is soy. This film is so soy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
just you could make very little tweaks and release this as an MCU film.
Yes. You take out the imagination. You take
Yeah.
out Phil Tippett and
You
the
take out
creative.
all of the charm
Take out all
and
of
just release
yeah.
Duck comes to Earth and makes soy banter whilst falling in love with a human.
Yes.
And you sanitize it a little, and here you go. You have leading Phase 6 Howard the Duck.
Exactly. Although a modern MCU film wouldn't have interspecies, interstellar, intergalactic interspecies relationship on
No,
this.
that's what I'm saying is
They
like he
would,
sand off
yeah,
the rough
you
edges
you
of like
take
we're
that
just
all,
close friends. It's like
yeah,
April O'Neil and the Turtles, and like some ones they fancy her, other ones it's just like we're just good friends.
yes. This would have been about the point I turned off the film in the original run
Yeah,
because I got Garbage Pail Kids vibes at this. This is where everything
yeah,
comes to a fucking halt, and I thought they're just gonna fuck about, and it's gonna be getting into little jams, fall in love, and I get the power of love sends me home or some shit. Like I
yeah, yeah,
really just this is the worst. This is the sloggiest part of the film. It's just here's Jeffrey Jones,
yeah,
here's a weird love scene, here's all this shit. Like it's boring and not fun, which is not what the film redeems itself in great ways. The third act, the last third of the film in general, fantastic. But the
yeah.
middle, this 45-minute mark, genuinely just grinds to a fucking halt, and it's no one's likable.
Nah,
I'm not rooting for anyone. Like nothing's happening. I don't care. There's not even really like they're hinting at a villain, but he's not here yet. So
yeah.
what's the matter? But yeah. So what's your next note?
My next note is about just the volume of duck puns, because obviously a while back we had our interview. We had our interview with Cindy Beagle, one of the screenwriters on the Flintstones, and she told us there was one writer who was essentially employed just to come up with a bunch of Stone Age puns.
Hmm.
And I do wonder if Howard the Duck had a similar avian pun specialist, because Leah Thompson, Howard the Duck's showering or something, she goes through his belongings and finds his wallet, his duck money with the president George Washing Duck,
Hmm.
and she discovers a condom in his in his wallet, and she's just kind of like, "Oh, Howard," or "Oh,
Hmm.
you," despite him carrying around an unwrapped, like
Hmm.
unsealed
Hmm.
condom, just
I, I mean,
and
I don't know if that was just for a visual gag or if it's deeper, but yeah.
well, it's also anatomically incorrect. Because, as we know, ducks have corkscrew shaped penises, and this is just a regular human condom.
What
So,
you've got to assume that Howard is hanging dong somehow. Like he isn't proportioned like a duck. Like he's not actually a duck. Like
yeah, he's
duck.
anthropomorphic. He's
Yes,
got like limbs as opposed to
yes,
wings. Yeah.
exactly. So like yeah, like I'm okay with him hanging dong. Leah Thompson was okay with it.
This
Like
is
she.
going to be the topic for debate in Mallrats 2, is forget the discussion about the logistics of how Superman and Lois Lane have sex. It's going to be like, Howard the Duck, what does his dick look like?
Yeah,
Is it cork shaped? Is it a corkscrew rather?
yeah,
Um,
cork shaped.
so My next note was ducklings. I don't know if that was implied. I think I was then just
Yeah.
spiraling off into like, can he reproduce? Like, is this anyway? The next scene we get is the train spotting signing on scene because Howard the Duck is attempting to find work,
Hmm.
but it's like you need to do okay, but not so well that you get the job kind of thing, isn't
Hmm.
it?
Hmm.
And
He
then he
goes,
ends up
yeah, he's at what is it? It's a bathhouse, isn't it?
yeah, it's like like by all intents and purposes massage parlor, sex club, bathhouse kind of
Yeah.
place. Yeah. And he's there as just like a bouncer,
No, he's a towel
or is he a
boy.
cleaner? He's a towel boy.
He's
Yeah,
a
okay.
towel
Yeah,
boy. So
yeah.
you go around, you, I assume, towel off. I don't know if you towel off people or just give the towels. I'm not an
Yeah.
expert. Because he does say anyone want load. He's going around with a trolley, just
Yeah.
and everyone's just sprawling out into the hallways like degenerates. Howard stops to have a cigar because he's a lazy shit, and again he's sabotaging it. The
Yeah.
owner calls him out, rightfully so. Like paying you to work here, Mister Duck.
Is
Oh,
this bar manager Kyle
yeah,
speaking
well,
here?
fucking right.
I would never employ Howard the Duck.
I honestly, I'm drawing the line. I do not discriminate against anyone, but no shoes, no shirt, no ducks. But this is great because then Howard again shows his strength. I can't remember how, but my brain tells me he drop kicks them into sewage.
Yeah, there's a bar fight or something. Like he does his
Uh,
Roadhouse. It's Howard the Duck in
yeah,
Roadhouse.
because Howard the Duck gets his ass kicked so easy. Like people just pick him up because he's
Yeah.
a duck. But then
Yeah.
he also somehow beats like four people. He's got a
Something's coming back from the comics. He's like a master of duck foo, isn't he?
okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I
You
think
could
it
tell.
might be in the film,
You
but
could have shown me that in Duck World, like him running a dojo or something, and doing the five feather punch or something. You know, you could have done something
he
fun.
he could be doing the crane
Yeah,
from
he could be
Karate
doing the
Kid.
fucking crane, exactly. And there we go. It's established that although he's little, he can still pack a punch.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on now. Right. So what's next?
So sex scene is next,
Okay.
and the only note I have is that there was a sex scene. I think I blocked it out. I watched this a couple days ago, and
I mean, it is horrifying. It is horrifying. It's weird as fuck.
yeah,
Like, I'm glad because they get interrupted by Jeffrey Jones and
yeah,
Robbins, but I'm glad they're like, "What the fuck are you doing? That's bestiality." I'm glad it's like acknowledged that it's weird.
yeah,
Again, this is why I think Leah Thompson's given her Oscar performance here because
for sure.
the commitment to doing this.
Yeah.
I panicked, man. I panicked. I was like, "Don't get them out. Don't get them out for Howard the Duck." Like you're better than this. Your career can go on somewhere. Don't do it. Please don't do it. So like I just like she really was sincere about it. Like
Yeah.
weird. It was very strange. But again, at least it's the part people when they're ripping on it, they don't acknowledge the ending of the scene where
Yeah.
they do say this is fucking weird. So
Yeah.
like I give it a pass.
Yeah, like it's trying to shock. It's not
Yes.
like it's somewhat aware of what it's doing.
Yeah.
And so speaking of which, there is a pan from the paedophile Rooney on TV to the real Rooney in the scene, which I'm like, this is genuinely directed quite well. It's like that bit in Hot Fuzz where Timothy Dalton is in front of the picture of him as like store manager. It's just quite a good little like transition from him on the TV to his actual
Hmm.
face. And I was like, this is directed with a little bit of, there's a little
Yeah.
bit of juice here, which I was not expecting, and was a very pleasant surprise after Hulk Hogan.
100%. I mean, that's something to talk about. Like, just to take a little pause, the direction in general. Like, again,
Yeah,
I'm talking about Leah's performance. Someone got that out of her as well.
yeah,
The vision and sort of like, I don't know how much is Lucas. So I don't know the
yeah.
director either. I just assume he is a Lucas friend. That's all I'm assuming.
William Hyuk, he sounds he himself sounds like a duck pun. Best known for his association with George Lucas.
Boom.
So yeah, he
So what did he do?
directed.
Yeah, what did he direct?
He wrote Devil's Eight, American Graffiti, Lucky Lady, Indiana Jones, and Temple of Doom,
Oh,
and he
okay.
directed Messiah of Evil, French Postcards, Best Defense.
Oh, okay. Okay. So a friend, let's say, associate a writer,
Yeah, he was a script
Um,
doctor on Star Wars as
okay.
well. So yeah,
He obviously has been around Lucas and Spielberg then,
yeah,
and he knows what he's. There's a lot of talented people here as well. Like you've got
yeah,
such a competent crew around you that it looks great, and
yeah,
like it's directed with a sort of like finesse that would you
yeah.
wouldn't get if this was MCU now. This would be bland as fuck.
This
But
is honestly directed better than basically every MCU film.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um,
I agree. There's no debate.
so yeah, my next note: I could have been a contender. Why? So they have Howard the Duck do the On the Waterfront. I'm just
Yep.
like, why is there like they don't even change it. They don't even do some duck pun version of it. And that segues very neatly into Casablanca. So a sort of long running thing we've been doing is
Yeah.
keeping note of all the needless Casablanca references. And in this, Howard the Blanc says, out of all the alleys I could have fallen into, I had to fall into hers. And I'm like, what is being served here again? This is just me ranting about like, who is this for? Who's going to be like, that's Casablanca.
Yeah, that's for you, Jericho, in 40 years' time. Your kids are gonna love it.
Well, yeah, I guess we can discuss that now in that this film being so well directed because you see like so many elements of this film. You'd be like, oh, this is kind of like Men in Black would kind of do this
Hmm.
with like the big creature, or like, oh, the MCU would kind of do this. Like, I do think this film, uh, a character shredding on stage in in the finale. Robert Zemeckis and his DeLorean is like, oh, I'm gonna like I do think this film does a lot of things which would be taken on and perfected by films which do not have their duck protagonists fuck human
Yeah,
women in.
yeah,
But I don't know, there's a lot to like here.
100%.
Yeah, so
So we are at. So once the reason Robbins and Co come to interrupt the sex scene is because they want to inform them about the giant laser that
yeah,
can take Howard back to his home planet. And Howard's
yeah,
all up for this. Like he's again he's got a bit on the side, but he's not willing to stay. Let's get going.
yeah.
And when they get there, there's been a malfunction or a disaster of some sort. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember what actually happened, like an inverse or something of the laser.
Yeah,
But basically, like shit's happened and the place has gone fucked up. And
yeah,
they head to a diner. And
yeah,
this is where I'm starting to have a lot of this onwards is my favorite part of the film. This is so much fucking fun. Jeffrey Jones instantly starts because they find him like a separate bit, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And yeah, he's not okay. Something's happened,
yeah.
and he is instantly at his sweatiest. Well, not maybe not his most sweaty to be fair, but he's bright red, sweating.
Sweating like a cast member of Ferris Bueller having their hard drive checked.
And it's when they're sitting at the table and he's like, I am the dark ruler overlord or something.
Yeah.
And they don't really acknowledge it, and I love it. It made me laugh
No. Yeah.
so hard. He just mind telekinesis blows up like ketchup bottles,
Yeah.
and they're really not fussed. They're just like, that's weird, but
Yeah.
to be fair, I'm also sitting next to a duck. So
Yeah.
like at this point, like I am this is where from this point on, sign me up. This
Yeah.
is where I did that, FIFA, I'm 1-0 down, I sit up. This is the moment of the film where I'm so annoyed that 15 years ago I tapped out and
Yeah.
didn't wait until it got really fucking good. So
Yeah.
continue.
So yeah, that's one of the things that I was speaking about is like it's almost like a like kind of fly type thing, but like my reference was it's Men in Black when Vincent D'Onofrio is the skin suit that
Mm,
the alien wears, and Ghostbusters when Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis are
yeah.
possessed by the dogs is like he's not on the same level, but pedophile Rooney is doing that kind of thing,
But
and it works. It's
it's
fun.
so good because they get into a bar, like a diner. It's a bar fight because
Yeah,
he apologizes to the waitress, and she's like, "Oh, it happens all the time, honey." And it's so fucking well shot and done because they're all beating the shit out of Howard. They tie him
yeah,
down to a table to cook him, to cut him up, cook him alive Leah Thompson's just freaking out, like, someone stop the madness. And
Yeah,
Jeffrey Jones is sitting there sweating, shooting lasers out of his eyes. And it is just like, this is it. This is what I wanted. This is the madness. And it's all
yeah,
played fucking straight. And I love it so much. I love it when one of the guy that's going to cut up Howard sees sweating telekinesis, sees him throwing shit about, and he's like, "Yeah, I still think I can take him." And then just gets his butcher's knife or machete pulled out his hand and spinning around. Like, he's getting sent across the room. It is
yeah,
great. I am so happy and having so much fun. Like, I fuck the duck puns. Give me this.
yeah. So I kind of have like no more notes.
Okay,
So the paedophile abducts Leah Thompson
he
and
does.
spirals her away,
Yes,
and Howard
Howard.
the Duck and Tim Robbins
He meets
pursue.
up with So he meets up with Tim again. They steal airplane.
Okay, this is my final note
Okay,
because I really love this scene.
yeah, it's fucking great. It's Pee Wee Herman esque. Rest in peace. This is what tonally I expected from those opening 5 minutes.
Yeah,
The fun sort of fish out of what I expected. This is
yeah.
what this moment. But yeah, it's great. What's your notes?
Well, it's just they're flying in their little Nelly, and when it's the duck hunter that really did it for me, is
Mm-hmm.
there's guys on the water who are doing the call
Mm-hmm.
with a duck horn, and Howard kind of like is like not on my watch, and like dive bombs them,
Yeah.
and so they all like jump out of their boat, and there's a Wilhelm scream, but
Yep.
just like I don't know, like yeah, I liked the ducks getting their own back.
Yep. Absolutely. It raises a lot of questions about the duck relationships, but
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, no, it's great fun. It looks good as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did some of it.
Yeah,
So
no, I was thinking that myself when I was like, because like he's flying and like flying through city streets and just
yeah,
like over water, over land,
it
yeah,
some things actually flying as well, which is what really took me off. Like, you're saying Little Nelly, that this isn't Sean Connery with a green screen. This
no,
is this is some small actor in a plane of some sort being some, I don't know.
Tim
I
Robbins.
Which Robbins is your pilot, you know. Yeah, it's
Particularly, I don't know. Having watched the latest Indiana Jones film
mm,
somewhat recently, and that to just be so dispiriting, where like nothing is real. Like when they're on the train in the opening, and you're just like, oh great, here's someone who isn't Harrison Ford on top of something which
mm,
isn't a train, which isn't speeding through
yeah,
the German countryside.
yeah,
But with this, you're like, oh yeah, no, like bring out your
night,
slide whistles, ladies and gentlemen. This is a car
literally night.
actually going
Yeah,
over a bridge.
this is fun, and this is first time in a while for this film I thought of Lucas.
Yeah,
I was like, like Lucas is great at, dog fights and
yeah.
flying things in general. Like, he's
It's
your
what he's
man.
known best for. The
He's,
creator of Red Tails, George Lucas.
he's magnum opus. Um, but yeah, like I don't know, like, but I'm impressed,
Yeah,
and do not expect Howard the Duck to be impressing me this late in the game. But yeah, like, wonderful stuff. So
yeah.
anyway, they race. It's back to the same lab, I think. I don't think I've got a note about it. Yeah, they go. I think it's back to the same lab as before, where
Yeah.
Jeffrey Jones has got Leah Thompson under a big laser because he's going to get another Dark Overlord in her.
You expect me to talk?
Oh, it's great. It's like, oh, John Barry, why are you not on set? But yeah, no, it's great. So Jeffrey Jones is going to put another soul, opening this intergalactic laser of some
Yeah.
sort. But then Howard and Robbins arrive to save the day. What do you think? Have you got any notes on this bit before we get to my favorite part of the whole film?
Ah, no.
No. All right. Basically, they managed to get the dark soul out of Jeffrey Jones,
Yeah,
and
you think crisis averted. You think like, oh, thank God they've
I
stopped
I
things.
I've played video games. I know you only defeat the first form. You've got to see. I did not expect this to be a Phil Tippett stop motion puppet. It is.
So, if you don't know Phil Tippett, for listeners who might not be familiar, he's the guy who did the puppeteering stuff in RoboCop. He did he's like his list of credits
He,
is endless,
well,
isn't
he's.
it?
I think he's most famous for, and this is it gave me vibes right away, and I know why he's here. Return of the Jedi with the Rancor, probably his most iconic puppet, and
Hmm.
how it's done is. I mean, the Rancor is much better in terms of like framework and
Yeah.
fluidity, but Phil Tippett. Also, everybody, please watch Mad God, his
Ugh.
debut film. I love Phil Tippett. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
stop motion.
exactly.
I love puppets. I love motion. I love everything about physical special effects.
Yeah, he's like a real genius,
And and and
pioneer, leader of his
and
craft. Yeah.
it's fucking cool as well. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not a cast off little, design. He put heart and soul into Howard the Duck. You can
Yeah.
tell that it's grotesque. It's
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's cooler than the Rancor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a really fucking cool design for this overlord of the universe.
Yeah.
And there's a great shot again, if we're going to direction, of Howard looking up, and it's shown just like again, it's just nice perspective of showing the size difference between them. They actually make Howard look like a little duck in this like a 30-foot monster, despite it being a little puppet and yeah, child actor or a little person.
Yeah.
But like really, really well done, like creatively. Yeah, the frames are choppy. It's quite RoboCop. I can't get around it. Like you get the budget a bit higher and you can give them a bit more time.
Yeah.
If Lucas was directing or something, like, he would have got the time. But it's still cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And yeah, like especially how disappointing Howard's been throughout the whole film to see this great piece of design. It's just I was gushing. I was so fucking happy. But yeah, that's pretty much the film. They fire the big laser at the monster. Monster explodes. Done. Rotten. Howard can't go home now because they fucked up the only laser.
Yeah. Because
So
he
he's stuck
does,
here.
like, does Howard not do it? Howard makes the decision himself to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like,
Well,
no, yeah,
yeah, because I'm sure it's Robbins tells him that like
yeah,
if you do it, you'll never go back. But
yeah.
he's saving Jeffrey Jones. He's got to do it. So yeah, like that's the film over,
Yeah.
and then we pan out into the aftermath, the sort of it's not post credits, it's at the credits, but
Yeah.
what your background is, the real
Yeah.
ending, as you called it,
Yeah.
because there was so just for context as well, there was a scene we missed where Howard beats up three sleazy guys that are the
Yeah.
manager of Cherry Bomb, Leah
Yeah.
Thompson's band, and he takes over control of them, gets their money that they're owed. So now at the very end of the film, he is their manager. Tim Robbins is their special effects guy of some
Yeah.
sort. He's got a job. Jeffrey Jones doesn't get a job, but Tim Robbins, we'll get a role for you.
Jeffrey
And
Jones, they're aware of the allegations. They're like,
they,
let's maybe not have
yeah,
him near a potentially underage fan.
and then Cherry Bomb play us out with the titular song "Howard the Duck," which is catchy as fuck. So yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's catchy as fuck. It doesn't really have a verse.
No, I don't
It's just
care.
sort of Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
Howard. But
yeah.
anyway,
You
just
tell me the
trying to.
verses to Karma Chameleon. Come on now.
I'm just
How?
trying to forewarn you, Kyle. I just want you to be prepared when we go through worst original song.
Oh no.
So, yeah, yeah, this film, I have a little bit of alternate universe info
Okay.
for you about this film. So I feel like I have said this for other films in the past. George Lucas's close friend John Landis was
Oh,
originally slated to direct this film, but after reading the script, he turned down the opportunity due to the police car crashes in the finale. He felt this was too similar to that of his previous film, The Blues Brothers.
don't know what he's smoking, but
John Landis is going around telling everyone, like, yeah, how are the Ducks essentially just the Blues Brothers?
so that means you did Three Amigos instead. He took Michael's offer.
Which I saw last night. I was at
Okay.
a Prince Charles Mystery Movie Marathon with my brother, and the final movie in the lineup was The Three Amigos.
Hey.
So, yeah.
Okay, I like Three Amigos for the record, but
Yeah.
Landis would have made a fun film. He would not have Phil Tippett monsters. He wouldn't have weird sex scenes, probably. He would have made this really. He would have made it like Three Amigos. It would be very much, what do you want me to do? I'll put
Yeah.
in my little twist of humor, cut out some crap, and put it out. I'm glad he didn't do it, but he would have done an okay job.
We could have got a cameo for infant Max Landis had he
Oh,
been,
stick him
or
in the
Max
stick.
Landis. No, Max Landis would be born just as this movie
Yeah,
was being directed. So
stick
yeah.
him in the fucking suit. You know, it's John. John has no qualms about fucking child labor laws. Just
Oh.
stick baby Max in the suit. You still did a good job, though. You're so welcome on, John.
Jeffrey Jones and John Landis on the same set.
Together at
Two
last.
dangers. Two absolute dangers. Okay, other piece of trivia for you. So this was actually Tim Robbins' first film role.
You can tell. Wait, no, it can't be Top Gun, right?
Uh let's just see.
Tim Robbins is in Top Gun. I'm not hallucinating that.
No, he is, yeah.
Yeah.
Top Gun was 86.
Oh, so we're in a matter of months. So maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so he's in Toy Soldiers and No Small Affair and Fraternity Vacation and The Sure Thing, which were all released before Howard the Duck. But
Yeah, I think I know the internet doesn't lie, but I you can tell it's early work from him. You can tell this is because again he is kind of unconstrained. He's this let loose and chewing about, but and he is very young. But yeah, I still thought Top Gun was his first. We're in the matter of months though. Like it's I need to know what was filmed first.
yeah, so IMDb has Top Gun listed before Howard the Duck. So maybe I would imagine Howard the Duck would have more of a post production process, but maybe they mean like it's one of his first
Yes,
leading
it's an early.
roles.
Okay, okay.
Because
He does have a bigger role here than he does in Top Gun. So
yeah, and Top Gun is essentially
very yeah.
just yeah. And Robbins has said he doesn't look negatively at the film as he got this big job that was paying a really decent salary and it was for George Lucas, so it was a huge deal at the time. And then it wound up going over its shooting schedule, and I ended up getting paid twice for that movie because of all the overtime. And
Yes.
he thinks more about the money he made than the quality of the film.
Amen, brother. Well done. Like right answer. Don't defend it. Don't think about it. Just it paid me well. It got his foot further in the door. It leads to better things.
Yeah,
And it's never. He's not the leading man. It's never gonna. No one's gonna ever think of Howard the Duck and Tim Robbins. So
but
yeah.
Frank Darabont was one of the one of the people who contributed to the 38 million that this film made, and he was like, you know what, that man is destined for great things.
Mhm.
Okay, what did you think of Howard, his voice?
I don't really have. It's not as bad as I expected, but it isn't good. I don't really have an opinion. It's as good as the outfit. It serves. I tuned it out.
Yeah, fair enough.
What have you got from him?
Originally, Robin Williams was cast as Howard the Duck, and he reportedly worked for a week before quitting, saying, I can't do this. It is insane. I can't get the rhythm of this. I am being confined. I am being handcuffed in order to match the flapping duck's bill.
Yeah, that's because you do expect like a producer to put a zany voice in it. I would really want. I would have Bob Hoskins is my voice. That's Howard the Duck, like or Danny DeVito. I would have
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's my duck. But yeah, no, it's fine. I probably would have disliked it more with with Williams because it would be in my head like just pining for attention all the time.
Yeah, I think it works that it's something of an unknown. Like I
Yeah,
didn't like the guy who got the role in the end was Chip Zine, and it's nice that it's not an overpowering
yeah.
star.
It's not the
It's easier
genie
to
because
believe it as Howard.
if I had to watch the genie for fucking 110 minutes, I'd have cried.
It's not Seth Green. I'm not saying you're a bored
Yeah,
ape. um, yeah.
yeah.
So, but other actors who auditioned included John Cusack and Martin Short.
Oh, Martin Short would have been very suitable for this film if it was directed by John Landis.
Yeah, too busy doing Three Amigos,
They're off
but
doing
in
other
another
things.
world,
In
yeah,
another
Martin
world,
Short would have been great, I think.
he would have been great in this. He'd
Yeah,
been perfect tone fit for what Howard the Duck should have been.
yeah. So, do you think this was Razzie worthy?
No, not really in any way. It
Yeah,
isn't a good. Again, it isn't good. There's so
yeah,
much interest and stuff that it's so much better than you expect,
yeah.
but it isn't good. But it isn't bad in compared to. Like I don't think this is. I'm going to put money this not being the worst of the double bill.
Okay.
I'm very, very, very confident about that. I had a great time. There is stuff though, you know, the Howard the Duck himself. does absolutely deserves a Razzie. Like I don't know if they'll give that to the actor or I don't know how they'll do it, but
Well,
he deserves it. And probably like I don't know, like screenplay maybe, and if there was a producer award, like Lucas or whoever made this, whoever conjured it up and blew 40 million, Lucas deserves some sort of thing.
yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. So I definitely for the Duck himself, and I would understand screenplay. Everything else is a big no for me. What about you?
This is rather uncanny. It almost feels like you're Jeffrey Jones being possessed by the spirit of Mr. Razzie. As
I would not be nominating Jeffrey Jones either. By the way,
yeah, yeah, on
I will take
record.
I will take a nom for Robbins. I would understand that. Even though I liked it, I would understand it because it is so hammy.
Yeah,
But Jones is great, especially when he is doing these Dark Overlord stuff. So I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
see him. I don't want to see him popping up.
yeah. Jeffrey Jones innocent. So beyond the shared win for worst picture, we're heading on down, zooming down to get to the next nomination, which is indeed worst supporting actor Tim Robbins and Howard the Duck as Phil Blumbert. I'm easier. I think this film, on the whole, I probably think this is more Razzie worthy than you, even
Yeah.
if I liked it. I can understand why they might go for it. But Tim Robbins, I would fight for, because I think the character, like, he's just a forgettable, like, he doesn't need to be in the film. He's just, like, he's got nothing for him to do and he's fine at. He's a nondescript part that's only notable because it's Tim Robbins.
Yeah, I don't know. I get your point, but
Yeah.
there was something about it, the performance that I just. I'm not saying was it a nom or a win? Did you say
It was a nom.
it was a nom? That's fine. I don't think it deserves a win, but you
Yeah.
can. You've got to pick some things out. It's my least favorite part.
Fair enough. Then worst director nomination for Willard Hyuk.
No, big
Yeah,
no.
yeah, kind of said that. Worst screenplay, it won Howard the Duck, written by Willard Hyuk and Gloria Katz, based on the Marvel character, created by Steve Gerber.
Yeah. So like this, I do understand because objectively it's a mess. All the fun stuff, like the pacing's so fucking all over the place. It does feel
Yeah.
like three different films tonally. Again, using our background shots that are mere minutes apart. Um, you know, it's a fucking weird thing. And again, like the dialogue's pretty shit.
yeah,
The story's non-existent. Like it's just duck
yeah.
puns and creative people making something out of it. So yeah, deserved for me.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones where, like, in some, like, it's not like it's like flat. Like the structure is kind of there, and like what you said about like starting off on the duck planet, like some like there are parts to it that are good.
Hmm.
I think they had like a good couple days, but I could have used an extra couple drafts and like tightening up and
Yeah.
consistency because like it's not a mess. It's just kind of lackluster.
Yes, I agree with that.
And so moving on, we have worst new star. The six guys and gals in the duck suit in Howard the Duck. That was a win.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's inevitable. It's harsh because that's not their fault. Like it's whoever fucking designed and okayed it. But yeah, like some Howard the Duck's terrifying. He's awful. Something has to be nominated unless you make an award up for him. It has to. It has to. So yeah, I get it.
And then worst original song nomination for Howard the Duck from Howard the Duck, written by Thomas Dolby, Ali
Oh,
Willis,
Tom
and George S. Clinton.
explain. George Clinton. What the fuck? I was going to say Dolby is new wave singer from the 80s, so that
Well,
explains most of the Barry songs. I assume are him. Like the Cherry Bomb stuff were probably him.
yeah.
But where the
Well, Alta Cheryl Willis co-wrote songs including September and Boogie Wonderland.
okay, okay. But with George Clinton of Parliament and Funkadelic, what, why? Okay. I really like the song though. It is terrible, but it's catchy and it's a fun riff, and it's tonally great for what it is. For what it
Mhm.
is, the finale of a film. The crowd, whoever got them riled up as well, did a great job because they are ferocious for this band and for Howard Solo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the song.
This is a different George Clinton, by the way.
Ah,
George Clinton Funkadelic and George Stanley Clinton Jr., two different
ah,
people. And so our one did Cheech and Chong Still Smoking and Cheech and Chong's The Corsican Brothers, also contributing to the score of Austin Powers International Man of Mystery and its sequels.
what a run. Um,
And he did Mortal Kombat.
oh, it's a great fucking soundtrack. Okay, fair play. It's a good Paul Anderson. So yeah, fair play.
And then we have one final award, Worst Visual Effects, Howard the Duck, visual effects by Industrial Light and Magic.
So this is a great category. I assume this is the one they've made up for this year. This is what
Yeah,
I'm thinking. I love this category. I wish this category existed every year.
yeah,
Uh, it's a no from me
yeah.
because the special effects are amazing when it's not Howard the Duck.
Yeah, you've already recognized Howard,
Yeah,
so
you recognize Howard.
I'm not
Worst
allowing
costume,
you.
worst outfit, worst
Yeah.
design. Yeah, but not special effects. It's too broad, and that does mean Phil's eligible to come on the show though. So
Come on down, Mr.
come on.
Tippett.
Excellent.
Okay, so we just have one little thing to discuss, which we've kind of tackled. The smallest change you can make to make the biggest difference to this film.
Yeah, it's simple. The simplest, and it is for change for me, is emotions on his face.
Yeah,
If my big change is what I said, puppet, get smart, like really, really work on Howard. But the
yeah,
cheapest, simplest way is just to show expression on his face. I think
yeah,
maybe just like make the beak smaller or
yeah,
something. Cartoons have been doing it for a fucking century. You can make a
yeah.
duck emote. Just do it. Like
It's like the tagline to Superman, you will believe a duck can emote.
you can fucking do it. So yeah, that's my littlest change. It doesn't save the film, but it
Yeah,
does make it less infamous, and it probably would be like a bigger cult classic or just more beloved in general
yeah.
if Howard wasn't horrifying. What about you?
Very similar. You could sanitize a little bit of like sex, but that doesn't really change the
No,
film. So it unfortunately just is Howard.
it is.
And so I would pull a Sonic redesign where I would have them change Howard and make him a little bit more cartoonish.
Yeah.
And George Lucas is the perfect guy for this. He's got
Yes.
previous replacing Puppet Yoda with CGI
Yep.
Yoda in The Phantom Menace. Just go back. He spent all this time tinkering with Star Wars, and it has never once occurred to him, what if I just put a little bit of CGI on Howard the Duck? I could have a new cult classic on
You
my
could,
hands.
and you could because if you do that, right, and just say like, because at a time where I know Lucas, everyone hates his cuts, but you can't do this right. You could
Yeah,
fix it. You could
yeah.
make some money as
You could
well.
give him an anatomically correct penis. That's all
Yeah,
I ask.
with
All I ask.
and then introduction by James Gunn. Talk about the penis for a few bits. Done. All good.
Amazing. So, that does not bring us to a close for
Does
another
not.
year, as you will be joining us next week. You will, that sounds a little forceful. You can join us next week when we'll be tackling the other half of
Yes.
1986 with Princes Under the Cherry Moon. So, this is a perfect opportunity to get in touch if you have any thoughts regarding Howard the Duck, Under the Cherry Moon, or any of the other films for 1986. If you want to send them in, then we will be happy to read them out on the show and get me and Kyle's take.
Hmm.
So you can contact us at watchingworstfilms@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media where we are Watching Worst. You can join us next week when we will be, I don't know any of the lyrics to Under
I
the Cherry Moon.
I don't either. I'm not a big. I'm not sure what to expect from this. I like Purple Rain. I like
Yeah,
I like Prince in general,
yeah,
but
same.
I know nothing about this, so
Same.
complete blind.
Yep.
Could be exciting. It's not got the
Yeah.
Howard the Duck like sort of like
Notoriety.
yeah
So
yeah yeah.
yeah.
So this is complete clean slate. Show
Yeah,
me what you
yeah.
got, Prince.
It's exciting. So join us next week for that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, guys.